to sin. And when sin has run its course, it gives birth to death. Do not be misled, my beloved brothers and sisters. Every good thing given and every perfect gift is from above. It comes down from the Father of lights, the creator and the sustainer of the heavens, in whom there is no variation, no rising, and no setting, and no shadow is cast by his turning, for he is perfect and never changes. It was of his own will that he gave us birth as his children by the word of truth, so that we would be a kind of first fruits of his creatures, a prime example of what he created to be set apart to himself, sanctified, made holy for his divine purpose. Understand this, my beloved brothers and sisters. Let everyone be quick to hear, be careful, thoughtful, slow to speak, a speaker carefully chosen words, and slow to anger, being patient, reflective, and forgiving. You may now be seated in the presence of the Lord. I had to give you that amplified version a little bit, because sometimes those thus thy saiths trip some of us up. But with this week being a hectic time for us as we prepare for the holidays between now and New Year's, cooking, wrapping gifts, and organizing our homes and driving to get-togethers to celebrate, we must strive to remember the perfect gifts that God has given us. While Christ was not born in December, and I will not get into the theology of it, it is the time of year that we celebrate his birth into the earth. We go out, we buy gifts for our family, our friends, and if you like them, even your coworkers. Then again, if you're someone like me, you prefer not to buy gifts and just hand out cash and gift cards. That's me. But some of us are thoughtful when we put together our gifts. Things of sentimental value that mean a lot to you and to the person receiving. And I am so thankful that God is the one who puts thought into consideration into what he gives us. I said that whole scripture, and I say all that to say this, and this is the title of my message: where is your gift? Where have you placed it? Where did you put it? Are you using it? Are you letting God mature and grow it? Or are you just putting it to the side? Many churches today are preaching the same Christmas message, that Christ was born of a virgin, was perfect in all his ways, taught about the kingdom of heaven so that we can all be redeemed by his sacrifice, and he rose again to sit at the right hand of the Father, interceding on our behalf. We all understand that salvation, grace, and mercy, these are the greatest gifts that God could have given a sinning people. But he has also given us gifts, abilities, and talents to produce fruit. Some of us can speak with power of authority. Some of us can pray the heavens be loosed and strongholds tore down. Some of us can offer up soothing praises to God that glorifies his name. Some of us have sincere worship that moves the very heart of God. Some of us have technical abilities, whether it be managing the grounds, the finances, AV equipment, or other important needs of the church needs and what the people need. Others go to the sick and the shut-in, and they pray with them, offering the love of God to those who can't make it to the house. There are many gifts, such as speaking and singing and interpreting tongues, dreams, visions, or those who make themselves available when the need arrives. But much like the parable of talents that Jesus spoke of, at times we take our gift that the Lord blessed us with and put it down, getting comfortable in what we want to do. Listen, I have been guilty of this of myself, so I ain't putting nobody down. This ain't directed at nobody. I'm just saying that sometimes we get too comfortable in what God has given us. The reality is that we have been talking about a season of transition in this house for a while. But the reality is that transition has come and gone. And it is now time for us to get our Solomon hats on and get to using our gifts to build what God has instructed us to build in this church, in our homes, in the communities, and those around us who are desperate for God. Our gifts are not for us to do with however we please. Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 12 that the Spirit gives these gifts to us as the Spirit determines. So let's talk about real quick how to grow and mature our gifts. Number one, practice your gifts. The first step is often the hardest. not knowing how you'll do it or where it's going to lead. But how many of us have been in the same career for a while now? I've been doing mine for 20 years. And Lord knows I am not the same banker I was 20 years ago. But I had to practice. I had to learn. I had to be mentored. I had to be open to instructive criticism. Now I'm in the position where I'm at, where I get to train the next generation of bankers and pass on what has been given to me. God is the same. He isn't asking for perfection, but for you to trust him. If you misspeak, apologize and move on. I talk about this one often. If you've been here for a minute, you've heard me say it. Prophet Fountain one time preached a sermon when I first got here. And what I meant to say to her was, wow, I never saw it come from that avenue before. That's what I meant to say. That's what my brain was saying. What I said was, oh, I usually don't get surprised in sermons anymore, making it seem like I know all of this back and forth and I'm perfect at this point in my life. I get home that day, I was like, man, that was wrong of me. That following Sunday, I popped up next to her. I said, listen, I want you to know I misspoke. This is what I meant. I just want you to let you know I apologize. And since that day, me and Prophet have been as cool as two partners in crime. But maybe it took that little misstep for us to get as connected as we are. But nonetheless, I had to take responsibility for my own actions, my misspeaking. And in turn, I made a valuable friend within the ministry. If you slip up, make a mental note of it and move on. Just trust the process and trust in God, and he will mature you as you take each step in faith and practice your gift. Number 2, pray over your gift. Your gift needs to be practiced, but you need to pray over it continually. We can't be so comfortable in our ability that we lose sight of the fact that God is the one who gave us our gift, and it